know that it's a pattern to rearrange an array in an increasing or decreasing manner. So in data structures, sorting, there are so many sorts, and every sort has their own characteristics. So I'm taking an example of two characteristics. The first characteristics is in place sorting, and second one is stable sort. uh, Anybody know about them?
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Okay. Okay, let me explain. So in place sorting is uh, like if you are sorting something and you are not using some extra space for sorting that particular array, then that algorithm falls into this category, in place sorting. Like for that, the space complexity should be order of 1. And what is stable sorting? Stable sorting is like you have an array 10, 20, 20, 30, 10. So there are some algorithms which don't focus on the position of each element. Let's say here we have 20, 20. So now there are some algorithms which can give you this green 20 previous than this orange 20. So that is called unstable sorting algorithm. But if it is a stable one, then you can then it will definitely, the orange 20 will definitely come before green 20, because this is the order in the original array. So it maintains the original order of a particular array as well. So this is a stable sorting. So these two are you clear?
Nikita, it's not that clear. So can you just repeat once?
Stable or in place?
Please.
In place.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say if you have array 10, 20, 20, 30 and 10, and now you are sorting this and not using any extra space for that to sort that. Like in merge sort, you take an extra space to break down these arrays and then sort them, and then place it again into the original array. But there are some sorts, uh, let's say quick sort, in that you don't need an extra space. You are just sorting whatever is there on the basis of their indexes. Like you just comparing the indexes and changing the values in that array itself. You are not taking any other extra array or any other kind of space like stack, queue, nothing like that. So if you are not using any extra space as in helping space, then that sort is stable, sorry, in place.
Sure, sure. Got it. So within the given data structure, it try to sort without using any further space.
Exactly, yes.
And what about stable sorting?
So stable sorting is you maintain the order of the input array. Like if orange 20 is coming before green 20, then in the output array, orange 20 should also come before the green 20. If
Okay.
it is not coming, that means your sort is not stable. It is not considering the positioning of the particular element. It's just sorting on the basis of the element, if it is greater than or the less than of the previous and next one.
Can you explain some example where
Yeah.
can we use such type of sorting like a stable sorting?
Yeah, so these are the examples. We have bubble sort, insertion sort, merge sort, count sort, and there are other sorts too which are stable. But the quick sort and the heap sort are not stable, are unstable. So because if you have 10, 20, 20, again 20, again 20, again 20. So if this kind of input is there, so in quick sort, it doesn't give you the guarantee that this 20 will always come at this position only. There can be an instance that this 20 is coming just after 10 and this 20 is coming at last.
Yeah, actually, I got your point. Just asking the real life example or some application where can we use this stable sorting.
Anywhere where you have duplicate elements in the array, and you like if you can say uh, you have you have a dictionary, like you have a key value pair, right? And the keys are different but the values are same. So you want the order,
Okay.
you want that order, that if key that you want that orange, if orange, and let's say you have a key orange and mango, and you have some characteristics
Mm-hmm.
as in a value, and you want in the final output orange should come before mango, because it's in the
Okay.
original array, it is coming before mango. So there you should prefer the stable one. But if you are not bothering about the order, you just need the sorted array, then you don't need to bother about the unstable or stable sort.
Okay. Okay.
You can use any of them if you don't bother about the order. I think I am clear now, or I should give one more
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. It's clear.
If you can help like with one more example, that would be helpful.
Okay.
That's sure.
Uh, Let me think. So
Okay, so let me give one more example. The example is basically suppose you have two sorted arrays, okay, and you need to merge those arrays into a single array. So how will you do that? Think guys, think.
Temporary.
Viren, noise is coming from your end. Voice is not clear. No, Viren, we are not able to listen you. Okay, I think Nikita, you can continue. We can basically keep this question for the end.
I think I can explain you with an example. Like there are many instances where you need to sort something on the basis of their IDs or some characteristics. Let's say the characteristic is ID, and you have some model in the place. Okay, so now you want that there is some characteristics on the basis of which you want to sort your complete array of models. So that, but you also want that if something is coming, like let's say we have a characteristic called what we can take. Any suggestion? Let's say name ले लेते हैं, just Nikita. Let's say these are the names and the ordering is like this. Nikita is coming before Abhishek and Abhishek is coming before Mudit. And you want this order in your sorted array as well.
Okay.
So there are so many characteristics as well. Let's say the IDs are so the IDs are 1, 2, 3. Address is AAB, means Nikita and Abhishek is living on the same address, but the Mudit is living on the B address. So you can the sorting on the basis of, if you are doing the on the basis of address, then I think let's see. Yeah, so now you can take it as Nikita, Abhishek and Mudit, or it can be Abhishek, Nikita, Mudit, right? So now if you are concerned about the order, then you need the output in this format only. But if it is an unstable sort, it can give you the output in this format as well. So if you are not bothered, like, because for address A, Nikita is also in that place, and for A, Abhishek is also in that place, but the order can be Nikita Abhishek or it can be Abhishek Nikita. But if you concerned about the order, then you prefer the stable sort, and if you are not concerned, then you can take any sort which you want.
Okay, Nikita, understood.
Here,
Means basically if your array contain sorted sequence, basically subsequence, so we are not changing the ordering inside the subsequence basically.
Yeah, it's basically with the, mostly it happens with the duplicate ones. If you have duplicate entries, and in the final output there are some other fields also which are depending on these entries, but you need the order in the same way which is present in the input string or input uh, array.
Okay.
So any algorithm which is not a sorted one, a stable one, can be changed to the stable one based on changing their logic of comparison. Like if you are comparing ij, then you need to take care of the position as well when you are swapping or when you are changing their location in the array. So these are the time complexities which we have already seen in the last presentation, that these are the complexities of multiple sorts that are available in the data structures, and we'll be considering the most optimized one, we can say, merge and quick sort, or the majorly used ones are the quick sort and the merge sort. So let's start with the quick sort. So there are some key points to remember for the quick sort. That is that it is divide and conquer based algorithm. We divide the problem into the sub problem, and in it the major concept revolves around the pivot. And we shift, if we are there are many ways to choose the pivot. We can take the first index of the array as a pivot. We can take the last index of the array as a pivot, or we can also take the middle element as a pivot, or we can pick any random one as well. So on the basis of the pivot, what we do, we try to place the pivot on its exact position, and the what pivot points out that all of the elements which are lesser than the pivot should be on the left side of the pivot, and the elements which are greater than the pivot should be on the right side of the pivot. So that's how we partition the array into two, and further and further and further. So in this, the pivot, when you place the pivot onto the exact position at the time of partitioning, you are one more step ahead to sort the array. Like if your 70 is here, this is the input, 10, 80, 30, 90, 40, 50 and 70. So now the right place for 70 is, let's say, this location. So in the sorted one, the 70 will definitely come in this position only. So how we are processing the partitioning? Let's say here, every time we are taking the last element of the array as a pivot. Okay. So now we compare each and every element from this pivot. If it is lesser than, then we will change its position, and if it is greater than, we will leave it as it is, because ultimately the greater one will come on the right side. How it will come, we will show with the example. So this is 3, 7, 8, 4, 2, 1 and 5. So let's say we have a 5 as a pivot. Okay. Now we'll start loop I and j. So this will work like this. So first our I will be start from -1 and j will be so I will be -1 and j will be at 0th position. So we'll start it like this. So we are taking this let's say array is 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The low is 0 and high is 6. Okay. And we are starting I from low -1 and j from low itself. And high is the pivot point. So now we'll compare aj. So there will be a loop from j to j starting from 0 to the high. So now j is, let's process it here. So j is on 3 and pivot is 5. So 3 is lesser than 5. So what we'll do, we'll increment the I and swap it with the j. So here I and j will become on the same index for the first case, because we are incrementing the I, so it will become 0 and j is also 0. So we'll swapping 3 with 3 and nothing happens. So now we'll increase the j and j will come here and I will be here only, like this. Now we'll be comparing 5 with the 7. 7 is greater than 5, so we'll do nothing, just increase the j. So now j is here. Again we are comparing 5 with 8. 8 is greater than 5, so we are doing nothing here again and incrementing the j. Now j is lesser than 5. So what we do, we increase the I and swap the I with j. So increment the I will become, I will be pointing at the 7 and j will be pointing at the 4. So now we'll swap 7 and sorry, my connection lost. Yeah, so is everyone getting the logic of the quick sort?
Guys, are you able to understand, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, Nikita. So I have a question. So why you are indexing starting from the -1, not from the 0 for the J?
Yes, because we are like if we start I and j from, you can start I and j, then you need to change your logic of having +1 here. You can change that. You don't need to do +1, and you can directly swap the values without doing +1. That you can alter. There are
Okay.
many ways, other ways also you can do, like you can, if you are taking the pivot at the front, you can start I from the lower index and j from the higher index. So you can traverse the loop in many ways, whatever suits you. But the point is that your pivot should, in the last, your pivot should come at the exact position, and all of the elements which are lesser than the pivot should come at the left side, and the greater should come at the right side. So there are
Okay.
many ways to traverse the route. It's not necessary that you are taking I as a -1 and j as a 0. So just for the example, I have done this. I have also done this with I equals to 0 and j equals to 6 as well. So you will incrementing the I and decrementing the j in that case.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So we were on this step, like we have swapped 7 with the 4, and now the state of the array is this. So now my I is on the 8 and J is on the 1. And now again, J is on the 1, and comparing it with the 5, which was our pivot, it is lesser. So again, we are incrementing the I and swapping it. So again, my I was on the 4th previously. It was here and J was here. So again, incrementing the I will come at position 2 and J will be here, and now we'll again swap it. So that's how processing it. At last, we'll be on the I here and 5 here. So J is our termination condition is we'll traverse the loop till J is less than high minus 1. And what is high minus 1? This position is high minus 1 because high is this and high minus 1 will be this. So when J is less than or equal to high minus 1, then we will exit the loop. So at last we will be on the I and J is here. So now again, so after this time the loop gets exit, and we'll swap the I plus 1 position with the high one. So this is how our pivot will come in the at the place of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the elements lesser than the pivot are on the left side and the greater one on the right side. So now again we'll partition our array from the pivot point. So 3, 4, 2, 1, 5 will be again go for the partition process, and 7, 8 will again go for the partition process. And by doing partition over and over again, at last we'll having the sorted array. So this is the algorithm. This will make you more clear. So we'll partition the array taking low as 0 and high as, let's say, 6th, the end of the array. And now we'll keep on the partitioning based on that. Now we'll get the partition point from here, and now we are again calling this quicksort process for the half of the partition one and quicksort for the index partition index plus 1 to high. We will not take this index in further partition because we know that this is the fixed position for the pivot point. So we'll go with this one and this one. We will not take 5 for the partition for the next partitions. So what partition does is, as we traverse the example, we are initializing I with low minus 1 and taking a for loop low and high minus 1, low to high minus 1. If array of J is less than pivot, we are increasing the I and swapping it. And if it is greater than the pivot, then we are doing nothing, as we have seen in the example as well. And at last, when you exit through the loop, you will swap the I plus 1th index with the array of high and return the pivot position, partition position. Any doubt? Anybody?
No.
Is the algorithm is clear? Now again, when you receive the partition point, again the quicksort will work same for the half of the left partition and half of the right partition, and that's how you will change. That's how you will be changing every element in every pivot element at its own place. You are positioning it at the right place, which it should be in the final output. So the complexities of the quicksort in worst case, average case, and best case, as we know that in best and average case, quicksort gives us n log n complexity. Why? Because this part of the quicksort is looping through n times. Like it every time it's partitioning the array into two, but it is working for both of the sides. Like we have already seen this kind of example in yesterday's presentation. And now when you're looping through the partitioned array, you are traversing it every time. Your array will be divided into the two parts. So your loop will work only for the half one every time. So first time you will be processing it for 0 to n. Second time you will be processing it for 0 to n by 2. Third time you will be processing it for 0 to n by 4. So that's how it will be 0 plus n by 2 plus n by 4 plus n by, that's how it will keep on going. So for average case and best case, it will be log n for this and n for this. So that will be n log n. But here is an exception in the quicksort, that we can have a worst case if our array is sorted in increasing or decreasing manner, and we are taking the pivot as the the first element of the array or the last element of the array. So what happen will there is, every time you will be partitioning your array something like this. So every time your left array will have only the one value, but your right array will have all of the remaining values. So you have to, your for loop will be work as n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3. So that's how your for loop, in the worst case, if you are choosing the pivot, the first one or the last one in the increasing or decreasing array, have the complexity of n square, because every time you are partitioning your array in an unbalanced manner. So how you can optimize this worst case? Like always try to take the pivot element as a middle element, or you can choose a random pivot as well. So the probability of going into the worst case reduces, but it doesn't give you a surety that your algorithm will not fall into the worst case for different kinds of input. But this gives you a certainty that most of the times you will be end up with the average and best case if you take the pivot as a middle element or a random pivot element. So this only happens when your array is sorted and when you take first or last element as a pivot point.
Nikita,
Yeah.
what's the issue if we select the last element as a pivot?
Sorry.
What's the issue if we select the last element as the pivot element?
So that is not an issue if you select the last element as a
No,
pivot.
I am just asking it. I am asking just point
But
of the complexity.
yeah, but if you see, if you have a system where you don't know what kind of inputs you can get at any point of time, so there could be a chance that you are getting a sorted one inputs, or in an increasing or decreasing manner, and your algorithm is always picking the pivot point from either from the front side or on the back side. I mean the first or last element as a pivot. So
Okay.
what will happen every time when you partition your array? So every time you will end up with one partition having only one element, and the next partition having only the rest of the elements. So your algorithm have to process the n elements, then n minus 2 elements, then so every time you are partitioning, but you are not gaining the what you can say, the fruitfulness of the partition, you can say. Like your
Okay, got
algorithm,
it, got it. Okay,
you are
I got
partitioning
the point.
for getting the log n complexity, but every time you are partitioning in such a way that your loop is running to the n times every time. So this is the issue.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
So are you convinced that quicksort is a stable one and it's a in place sort?
Yes.
Okay. So now moving to the merge sort. it is also, so there are some key points again here. It's also a divide and conquer algorithm. You here you divide the array again into the smaller chunks. But the difference with the quicksort here is, at the time of partitioning, your pivot element was coming at the right position in the partitioning step itself. But here you will take the middle point of the array and blindly partition it into the smaller chunks. Here you are not doing any kind of sorting, any kind of comparison till you get the every chunk partitioned. So in the merge sort, the partition process will be done like this. You are taking a middle element and like L plus R minus L by 2, and somewhat you will end up here, and then partitioning it from 0 to mid minus 1 to mid to high. So that's how you will end up on this stage, that each partition have only a single element. So now what you will do, you will start merge step, like you will merge chunk by chunk here. So now you will compare 27 with 38. If it is lesser than 38, you will put 27 before 38 and then 38. Like this, like this, like this. And now again you have this chunk and this chunk, and you are merging both of the chunks in a sorted manner. So you partition the array till you get a single element in every chunk, and then you keep on merging them in a sorted way, and that's how you will end up with a sorted array. So the algorithm for merge sort is, the termination condition is, you will keep on traversing. This is your low point, this is your high point. When you when your low point reaches to the higher point or greater than that, then when your low becomes greater than your higher point, then you will terminate this. And how you partition it? You will partition it always from the middle. So you are taking L plus R minus L by 2. I think in last session also Nishant has told that this is to prevent integer overflow. So you can also do like L plus R by 2, but here if you do L plus R, there could be a chances for the long input that you are overflowing the integer range. So you do it like L plus R minus 1 by 2. Now you are calling merge sort from L to middle point, and from middle point plus 1 to R point. L and R is nothing but the low and high point. And now when you do all the partitioning, you will call the merge process in the array. So this is your merge process. So what it does is, this is the algorithm. What it does is, it takes, this is the input, let's say. So this is your low, this is your high, and your low is lesser than high. So low plus high minus low by 2, the middle will be 3. So this will be 3. So how your array will be break? It will be 38 to 27, 2, 43 and 3 will be on your left side, and 9, 82 and 10 will be on the right side. And now again the lower will be in this smaller array. Lower will be at the 0 position, high will be 3, low will be 4, and high will be 6. That's how you will end up with this output. Now in the merge process, what happens is, every time you are copying the left array, and you are taking two chunks and taking a temporary arrays. We call it as a left array and the right array. So in left array you have 38, and in the right array you have 27. So you have taken a space here. That's why the merge sort has the complexity of order of n. So here now you have left array and right array, and now you are comparing each and every element of the left array with the right array, and make it sorted like this, 27 and 38. And now you have same as this, you have a left 43, you have a right array 3, and now you are merging it as a where is it? I forgot to type. It will be 3 comma 43, and for this 9 comma 82 it will be 9 comma 82, and this 10 will be alone because this is a odd number of array. Now again the merge process will work. This will be now our left array, this will be now our right array. Now we are sorting the left and right in this manner, and this left and right will be in this manner. So array will be something like this, this, and then this. So finally, the left array will be 3, 27, 38, 43, and the right array will be 9, 10, and 82. And now you are again comparing each element I with this I, whatever is lesser than you are placing it here, 27 with again 10. So you are comparing each and every element and putting it at the right place. So here what you are doing, one more thing I missed, that whenever you are copying this array into the left array and right array, why we are doing, because we are changing, this was our original array which had the values this. So now we got the location from this left hand array and right array that the 0th location will be should be for 3. So we are modifying the existing array only, but with the help of the 2 temporary arrays. Are you getting? Hello?
Yes, Nikita.
Are you getting? So this was our original array. So for 32 and 27, we copied in the left array and right array, and then changed its location in the original array. So array will be look something like this at this point of time. This is the, I'm talking about the original array. So in this original array, we will have 43, 3, 9, 82, 10 in its place only, but we'll be having 27 and 38 in a sorted manner. Now again, the actual array will look like this. So it will be 3 will be here, 43 here, then 9, 82, 10 will be in the same manner. That is why we have taken the left array and right array, and we are copying that chunk so that we don't lose the data, because we are replacing the values in the actual array only. And then we'll be having this.
I didn't catch that. Could you try again?
Yes. And so now your actual array will be sorted. So same like quicksort, it also has the time complexity of n log n, because of the same reason that we are partitioning, but every time after the partitioning we are traversing the n by 2 elements, but the space complexity is order of n, because we are taking left array and right array as a temporary array to store our values. Need any further explanation, or is it clear?
Yeah, it is clear now. Yeah, it is clear.
So what you think? Is it a sorting in place or is it stable?
Shannon, Viren, what do you think?
Actually, it's not in place because it's taking the extra space. We have to take some temporary array, then merge it. So I think it's not a in place sorting.
Correct. and stable. Yes, because we while comparison we are not taking the index if it is equals to, we are only considering the steps which are if it is lesser than. So for the equal case we are not processing anything like where yeah. So it gives me the uh, property of stability, that if we have 27 and 27 again here, so at the time of merging these two arrays, 38 and 27 and 27 and 27, if we are having comparing 27 with 27, it do nothing. It will not change its location. It just keep incrementing the I and j value if the value is same. So it gives me the property, it confirms me the property of stability.
Okay, got it.
And the time complexity I have already explained, and auxiliary is also, I think, clear. So every time, even if your array is sorted, it will take the space complexity order of n, because it doesn't matter that your array is sorted or not. Every time it will partition the complete array one by one, again do the merging process, even if the array is sorted. So every time, in every case, best, average, or worst, it will take the order of n auxiliary space.
Today's session, let me just give me a basically brief around the generic part also for the merge sort. Yeah, Nikita, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying that it's done from my side. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Nikita. So I will just go through with the basically generic version of merge sort in Swift, so that everyone can understand who are from like iOS background at least. So this is the merge sort. Here basically t is a generic variable, and comparable is basically we want that element to be a comparable one only. Like we can directly compare those elements. And then array is also of kind t, which could be like integer, it could be string, it could be anything else also. And the output is also array of type t. Now the first statement says guard array.count is greater than 1, because if you have only one element, you do not need to sort it, right? You can directly return the same array. So that's the first line. Then the second line, let middle index. So we all know like how to calculate the middle index, like as Nikita told, low plus high minus low divide by 2. So this is basically a sample code. So middle index is basically whatever the size of array, we divide by 2. We can modify the logic for the middle index. Then the third line is basically like we will be basically getting two arrays. One is left side array and the second one is right side array based on the middle index only. So the first array will be is from 0 to middle index. The right array will be middle index to last array. And then we will basically merge these two array, left and right array, and we will return a combined array. That's the logic of merge sort, as Nikita explained. Now let's move to the merging logic, like how do we merge basically two different arrays. So suppose you have two arrays, one is left array and another one is right array, and you need to merge them and then you have to return it. So how will you do it in generic? So generic also the statement is same, like instead of you are taking integer, you are just taking t as a keyword and then confirming that it's a comparable keyword. Okay, now we will basically take two index, left index and right index, and then this will be basically our ordered array, which basically we will be storing the merge result, and then we will be returning the ordered array as the output itself. So that's the logic. So sometimes what happen is interviewers may ask, like instead of taking an extra array, suppose if the left array is of size that much that can hold the right array also. So how will you merge these two arrays? That could be a good question for the interview. So you need to thought about that also. But for right now, for this, we will consider we can take an extra array, ordered array, and in this basically we will just compare both the arrays, left and right arrays, For each index, like left index and right index, we will take those elements and compare which one is smaller. We will store into the array and we will increment that index only. If we take the smaller element from the left array, then we will increment the left index only. If we are taking a smaller element from the right array, then we will be incrementing the index of right array only. That's the logic, and this is the simple logic. Basically, we can write, and then later on, these two while loops are just to make sure that every element has been covered, because sometimes what happens is these two left and right arrays can be of different sizes also. So suppose if left array is very smaller and right array is very big, so when you compare all the element of left, still there are elements left in the right array. So the second while loop will cover those right elements. And vice versa case, where left array is of big size and right array is of a smaller size, then this first while loop will take care of that case also. And then finally we will return the ordered array. So this is how we basically write the generic merge sort in Swift. Guys, any question?
Nishant, instead of comparable protocol, can we use some other protocol on behalf of comparable?
What kind of protocol? Can you explain? Other than comparable?
Not sure, because I'm not convinced like why exactly we are using comparable.
Okay, so
To
suppose
compare, yeah.
when you compare two integers, those integers are comparable. That's why you are able to compare those two integers, right?
But let's
But
say my
suppose, let me give an example. Suppose you have two arrays. Can you compare those two arrays directly?
without using any protocol, we cannot confirm. We cannot compare.
Yes. Suppose if there is any object which does not conforms to comparable protocol, can you compare two objects? Like suppose there are class C1 and C2. Can you compare the C1 and C2 class if it does not conforms to the comparable protocol directly?
No.
No. That's why we require comparable protocol to be confirmed on the generic type, so that we can directly compare. We do not need to worry about the comparison logic.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Any other question?
In middle, you said one question interview will ask if left array have the enough space it can hold the right array
Right.
element also, then we should not use the extra space. So can you explain it?
Yes, so that will be basically assignment for you guys, because once you practice the merge sort on your systems, then you can directly do a problem, which basically, let me explain to you. Just give me a second. This is the problem. It's available on LeetCode. It's called merge sorted arrays. So the question says basically there are two arrays, num1 and num2. Okay, and you need to merge num2 into num1 as one sorted array. And in this question, they already explained the num1 has a size of equal to m plus n. So basically, the num1 can store all the elements after merge because of their
Okay.
size. For example, let's go through with the example. Like the nums1 is 1, 2, 3, 0, 0. You can see, right? This one. So these three elements are extra space. So if you merge num2 into the num1, the final output will be 1, 2, 2, 3, 5, 6 as the output. Okay.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
using
Fine.
index we can do it. Like if I taking for left array I'm taking I equals to 0, then for right array I can take n plus I. So that's how I can compare.
Right. So that this question will be assignment for you guys. Once you basically done with your writing the quick sort and the merge sort, you can solve this data structure problem, and it will give you a good confidence for your next sessions also. Okay. Guys, any other question? Okay, so thank you so much for your time, and Nikita, especially thank you so much for this session. It's really nice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank
Thank you,
you.
Nishant. Thank you, Nikita.
Thank,
Nishant, can you
thank you,
share that
Nikita. Thank you,
question
Nisha.
link which you're showing right now?
Yeah, the lead code link.
I think it left the call.
Yeah,
ठीक है.
I'll share that. I'll share that.
Okay, thank you, Nikita.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone. Bye.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye bye.